2channel, or 2ch, is more or less the Japanese 4chan. It's just a big image forum with multiple boards covering everything from sports, cooking, cars, anime, games and porn. Anyone who wants to can use it, but unless you can read it or write in Japanese, navigating and posting is very difficult. 2channel is actually older than 4channel and was launched in 1999 by Hiroyuki Nishimura. 4chan was actually made by copying the idea of 2channel. If you are unfamiliar with 4chan, you could also think of it as a Japanese Reddit. The only difference is that all posts on 2chan are completely anonymous and not copyrighted in any way. Also, as a result of this, the posts on 2chan can be much more warped and malicious. Bullying goes on there, people can also try and sell drugs. Until proper regulations came in place, 2chan basically used to be the deep web of Japan. In these series of videos, I translate over from Japanese the most malicious posts ever in the history of 2chan. These are stories people have put up on 2chan to deliberately try and scare people shitless. As for whether you believe these stories are true or not true, that's entirely your decision. Google Earth. Once I found this site which introduced to people locations of where there have been sightings of ghosts and basically any other kind of paranormal activity. The site had listed on it the locations of where these sightings had occurred and also had pictures of the sites which had been uploaded using Street View on Google Earth. I wondered if I would be able to find the location using Google Earth too. So I opened up Google Earth on my laptop and started searching around the location which was listed on the site, trying to find the actual place where the picture had been taken. After searching for around 20 minutes, I found the location where the picture had been taken. It was just a dirty, broken down building which had probably been abandoned ages ago. The building wasn't particularly that spooky, so I sighed and was about to close my laptop when suddenly something caught my attention. There was a woman standing next to the abandoned building. It was night time at that point, but light in the picture from Google Earth, so I could see her clearly. She had a red shirt and blonde hair, and she also seemed to have a snigger on her face for some reason. The strange thing was that the woman had lifted her head so that it looked like she was staring through Google Earth and through my laptop straight at me. Then I realised something. Why can I see her face? I could quite clearly see her face. She was smiling, but that couldn't be. Google Earth never showed the faces of civilians caught on camera. That scared me a little, and the longer I stared at the woman's face, the more I began to sense something inhuman. I turned the view of Google Earth 90 degrees to get away from the woman. I was about to move away from the location when I chanced to glance at the woman again. I felt a shiver go down my spine. Maybe it was my imagination, but it seemed like the woman had also twisted her head 90 degrees in the same direction I'd moved my camera. She was still smiling. Slightly frightened, I switched off Google Earth and rebooted it to explore another location listed on the internet site, somewhere far from the one I had just found. I'd been searching for around 10 minutes. I was now looking for an entrance to a tunnel where apparently there had been sightings of multiple ghosts. I found it fast enough, but I wish I hadn't. There, right in front of the tunnel, was the woman again. She was staring at me again, smiling as before. The woman was standing in a pool of red. I hadn't noticed that before, and then I realised, was it blood? Her shirt, was it red? Or was it just covered in blood? I quickly switched off Google Earth and shut down my computer. That was enough. I was probably just tired, a figment of my imagination. It was around 3 o'clock at that point anyway. The next day, After I got back from work, cautiously I searched on Google Earth using my phone for the same locations I had searched for the day before, but to my relief there was nothing there. I sighed, as I thought it'd just been my imagination. Now that I think back, I think I was a bit drunk at the time. Relaxed, I turned the camera around 180 degrees from the screen to look behind me. Then suddenly, I switched off my phone. Fucking hell. I've never used Google Earth since then, but I figured some people may be interested, so I figured I'd post up the coordinates for where I was searching here on 2chan. The abandoned building was here, and the tunnel was here. I'd just like to point out it's your responsibility if you look. Anything which happens to you as a result isn't my fault. The Red Room. I just moved to a cheap apartment in Tokyo after being accepted to university in Tokyo. As I had moved from the countryside, it took a while to get used to the lifestyle, but after a few months I managed to integrate to the culture quite successfully. I've been so busy sorting out my room, attending university inductions and finding a part-time job that I hadn't had the chance to talk to my neighbours at all. After introducing myself to the neighbours I happened to meet, I soon found out that the person living next door to me was actually a woman. When I came home late in the early morning from my part-time job, I would sometimes bump into the woman. She had beautiful long dark hair and I could tell she was good looking from her style, but I was never able to have a good look at her face. One day I got early back from work. It was the afternoon and I just sat around dully watching the TV. As I was lying down, I noticed something. There was a very small hole in the wall. The wall between my neighbour's room and my room. I tried to resist the temptation, but soon I found myself staring through the hole in the wall. But to my disappointment, all I could see was something red. I figured she'd cover up the hole with a poster or something. But just in case she moved the object, whatever it was, I kept on staring through the hole regularly. Yes, I'm not very proud of doing it, but I was just curious. But every time I looked, I was never able to see the woman. The only thing I could see was this red thing, and the only time I did manage to see her room was late at night after I had returned from work at 2 in the morning. But obviously she was no longer in the room anymore at the time, and the room was pitch black, so I couldn't see anything anyway. After a week or two, I got bored of this and just gave up. It's been a few more months since I started university. It was the afternoon and I'd just come back from my part-time job. I was bored and I was trying to find something to do. Then I remembered about the hole in the wall again. I took a look through to find the room was pitch black. This was strange. At this time, I should see red. I figured I'd try knocking on the door to see if she was in. But as I left my room, I bumped into one of my neighbours. She was trying to open the lock to the woman's room. Is something the matter? I asked. The neighbour stared at me apologetically and said discomfortedly, "Oh, you don't know? The girl living in this room died a few weeks ago." I was aghast. "Why? What happened?" I asked. "I think she must have been ill, but I'm sorry, I'm not really sure either. But every time I walked past her, she didn't seem to be ill or anything." The neighbour paused. "Well, I don't know what was the actual cause of her death, but I definitely know that she was ill." "Why?" I asked. "Well, did you ever have a good look at her face? Her eyes were bright red." Stealing a look. My aunt passed away. She just suddenly died when she was still in her 40s. Well, when I say she died, I mean she killed herself. On the outside, my aunt was very kind and timid. She'd always been kind to me, but I'd never really gotten close to her enough to know about her properly. She didn't have any close relations, so I offered to clear up her leftover possessions in my aunt's apartment. When I was clearing up her bedroom, I found a pile of A4 notebooks hidden under her bed. All the books had dates on them. There were roughly 2 or 3 for every year. I figured it was a diary. Altogether, there were around 50 notebooks. I'd never managed to keep up a diary for more than a month, so I was very impressed. She must have been a very efficient person. I wasn't really interested in what she'd written. I was just bored, and I took a look inside the book with the new estate. Fuck me. I couldn't believe what I saw inside. After reading the book I realised it wasn't a diary. The notebooks which I first thought was a diary were a list of grudges my aunt had against people. Every single page in the book was full from top to bottom with the names of people she hates, what they did to her, and how she wanted to exact her revenge on them. 23rd of July 2015. My neighbour X told me I was being too noisy in my room. I want to break her legs and gut her like a pig. 5th of August 2015. My relative Y swore at me. I wish I could fucking kill him. And so on. The list of hate continued on every page. I was disgusted, but it taught me a lesson. Even if a person looks harmless and kind on the outside, there's no knowing what they're thinking on the inside. I continued to read. It was like I was in a trance, and I kept on flicking through the pages till the end. 6th of September 2015. The neighbour's kids keep ringing on my doorbell and running off. I swear I'm going to wring the fuckers round the neck at one point. 9th of October 2015. Why can't everybody just leave me in peace? I wish this world would just end. 31st of October 2015. Just die, 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 fucking die. 10th of November 2015. At my funeral, my mum-in-law said, at least her looks were okay. Shithead. 16th of November 2015. My niece came to my house saying she was going to clear up my apartment for me, but actually she's just looking for things she might be able to sell. The bitch came in without even taking her shoes off, saying the place is going to be taken down soon anyway. 16th of November 2015. The fucking whore has stealed a look at my notes. I'm going to kill that bitch.